We got shot fire, one suspect down, Legacy Court. Sorry, I mean, again, turn somebody else in more. All up to the table, we got one suspect down. We got Legacy Court. Table, we're right in front. Yeah, we're talking now that we're like 824, please.
All right, that is what we have so far, about 2 minutes of that dash camera video of the officers pulling back up to the scene, and then you see the...
Did he pick something up and wipe it off at the end?
Keith Scott is killed.
I'm pretty sure he wiped off something. He motions with his hand in a wiping motion at the end.
This is the first time I viewed it, just as you've seen it, and this is the first time most of our panel members have seen it. Let me bring my panel back in. Tom Fuentes, we were speaking before we played that video. What stands out to you from it? Okay, don't have Tom Fuentes. Cheryl Dorsey, to you as a former LAPD officer, what stands out to you from that video? Again, that's just one vantage point. That's the dash cam. We're still waiting to be able to show you the body camera footage.
And so I'm second guessing the officers for sure, so be clear. But as he's stepping backwards, I don't see that poses any kind of a threat to the officers. I don't see a furtive movement that would justify the use of deadly force. And like I said in the beginning, Poppy, I'm very bothered by the fact that they left the scene, put on a vest, and then came back. I think in this instance, they may have exacerbated that situation, escalated that situation, because they're yelling, drop the gun, drop the gun. They saw him. They know he has it. They saw him sit in the car rolling a joint. So for him to not drop it immediately, they've escalated this thing now to a use of deadly force. And understand, we know as officers, we're creating an audio record. So witnesses and others will say, well, I heard the officer say, drop the gun. It's picked up on the radio. This is problematic for me.
And that's a really important point.
I should know. I just want to make one quick note here, guys, and jump in that we have gone, CNN has gone back to the police department to ask them whether or not these tapes have been edited at all, selectively edited, either in audio or video. As soon as we get an answer from them on that, we will let you know. This is just what they've released to the public. We don't know what, if anything, has been edited or how much longer it may have been than those 2 minutes that were released. But continue. What were you saying?
Yeah, well, first, that's something that has been raised by many observers. Have these tapes been edited? Has there been anything done to the sound or to the video? My observation when watching the tape, again, is I saw nothing that was immediately threatening. Now, of course, again, I'm not a police officer. I've never been in that situation. But the point is, looking at the video, there's no indication to me that he was an immediate threat to the officers, that there was any kind of reaching, any kind of grasping. And yes, the thing that's most compelling in the officers' favor is this yelling of drop the weapon. But I've seen this happen as an activist on the ground who's been involved in many of these sorts of incidents. Police will often, when they're attacking, when they're beating people, will say, stop resisting, stop resisting, stop resisting. So there's a public record of them saying stop resisting while they're beating you. Saying drop the weapon as they shoot is a very common tactic, so that there's a public declaration that they ask the person to drop the weapon. The timing of that declaration and the urgency of that declaration and the legitimacy of that declaration are the things we have to question. Did they need to say that? Was the weapon raised? And then finally, just tactically, and we saw this in the case of Tamir Rice in Cleveland, it's like, if this person is such an imminent threat, do the tactics justify the response? Is this the appropriate way to deal with the circumstance? We watch him falling back here as we're watching. It doesn't look like he's an imminent threat. I don't see it.
Cedric Alexander, to you as a law enforcement analyst, what do you see in here that stands out to you? Because I think the key moment, right, is when Mr. Scott is out of the car and when he is backing away. But he does have a gun, according to the police, from their statement. You cannot see it in the video. What stands out to you here?
Well, one statement Mark just made is very true, and that is the fact that we weren't there. Maybe we didn't see what they were seeing.
Now he goes in his pocket. He's going to go in his pocket, and he's going to hand something over.
But let's set that aside for a moment. Really, one of the biggest problems here, Poppy, is going to be this. No matter, people are going to look at this piece of footage tonight, and they're going to have problems.
Okay, there he goes. In his pocket, hands it over.
Because of the cloud of distrust that currently exists.
It goes in his pocket.
In the policing community. That in and of itself
now watch.
Is going to guide.
He's going to bend down.
About what you see in this video.
And now watch. He's going to like wipe something.
Repeating, understanding that we're seeing bits and pieces of this, even as graphic as this is, what we're going to see. The next piece of video is going to probably be just as graphic. But the cloud and the lenses that we're looking out of now, it's going to be very, very difficult, in my opinion, for the public to look at this from any angle and be comfortable with it. And that's going to be the challenge. But there's going to be opportunities for this to go before a district attorney's office and maybe before whatever other process that may come into play. So there's some judgment on it that is not judgment that is based on what our observations are, but based on what procedure and court of law may think about this.
Paul Callan, to you, speaking about